Welcome. This is DL Chandler, senior editor with Hip Hop Wired. I'm here with who I believe is one of the most freshest, no pun intended, MCs out of Brooklyn, but also more than that. And we're going to get into his story a bit. Fresh Daily, how you doing, brother?
I'm fantastically well by far. Thank you, G.
I like that. I like that. Now, I'm a hip hop, I guess you would say a fanatic, a backpacker, some would say, and I am well aware of your
Same.
right. I'm well aware of your lineage in hip hop, but I knew you under another moniker before you became Fresh Daily. I knew you as another rapper known as Il Tarzan. You know what I mean? So I'm
Whoa.
taking it back a little
We're
bit.
we're going deep into the files.
Now not gonna start there. I just want to let you know that I'm very familiar with your work, and I've been a long time listener. I was down with the AOK Collective. I loved all those guys, and I love your contributions to that. But let's talk about the early days of Fresh Daily, man, when you were really getting into this game, and what inspired you to even become a rapper, or even try to write rhymes, or what have you?
Word. I think what inspired me is just cathartic self-expression. I think I grew up super impoverished, super as a have-not. As a kid, we were unhoused for a long time, and
Mm,
mom didn't want to spend no money on J's, and we were just getting by. And I think in the New York City public school system, that can be brutal. You know what I mean? People will judge you before you can even speak. And because we were so transient, I would pop up and be the new kid always. You know what I mean? So um, it made art was my first love. Art was my first cathartic self-expression, and that helped me make friends. But music was one of those things I think that allowed me to skillfully speak for myself and with my perspective in a way that was engaging, in a way that made people be like, "Oh, I gotta check this out," because in the birthplace, in the mecca of hip hop, when there's an MC spitting, you know what I mean. If you can control the people who have never heard of you, who have never seen, you know what I mean, those little ciphers in the schoolyard or in the lunch table were the things that made me really quickly be like, okay, this is the way, people are gonna check for you, and find out who you are and give you that respect because you better be dope.
right.
If niggas are banging on the lunch table and you spit something whack, someone's gonna cut you off or someone's gonna shut you down in a cipher. You're like, he whack, you know what I mean? So that sort of gauntlet, allowed me to express myself in a way that wasn't so reliant on technical skill the way illustration and art was. Like with
Right.
illustration and artwork, you really need to, have some sort of hand-eye coordination and skill and talent, which I did, but it's more labor intensive. With hip hop, I was able to just say what I'm thinking in a clever way.
Right. Now, I do want to talk a bit about your art career and what have you. Beyond being a rapper, you're also a graphic designer, an artist, a fashion designer, and you wear a lot of hats, and you're wearing a very relaxed hat right now,
Yeah.
um, which is your brand. But I want to talk a bit about your art, man. Because I actually didn't know that too much later that you had a background in graphic design and what have you. So talk to me a bit about how art has, in that realm, has transformed your life and how it's informed your life.
Yeah, yo. So like I was saying, like ever since I was a little one with a crayon in my hand, like art was definitely a first love for me in a way of cathartic self-expression. My mom, also single parent, raised me with no television, no secular music, so she was a big advocate for keeping yourself occupied with reading and art and things of that in that nature. You know what I mean? So I very quickly found ways to entertain myself, and art was one of those ones that I just was naturally drawn to. I love cartoons, I love the Sunday funnies, and that just became my style. I would go to the library and take out art books, and then that ended up me going to high school, getting accepted into the High School of Art and Design in New York,
Mm,
which is that's one of those funnel schools where a lot of people apply and very few get make it in, but the
right.
alumni there is very hip hop. Mob Deep went there.
Right.
I want to say Faramonch went there. I want to say Pumpkinhead went there.
Yep.
C. Ray's Walls went there. A lot of MCs went to that school, mostly because there's a lot of graph writers in high school of art and design.
Right.
And I briefly attended Pratt, and so like that, these things. I went to high school of art and design for commercial art, and that is kind of like where I ended up in my day job, my day to day, and doing illustration and design and layout. And so yeah, and I think where it's changed my life is, especially as an MC, is the ability to, so like if you're not a visual artist but you are a musician, usually you have to kind of take the idea for the visual representation of your music to someone else, right?
Right.
And say, here's my idea for an album cover or a single artwork, or and hope that they get your vision right
Mhm.
with their technical skill. With me, I cut that middleman out altogether. Most of the artwork that you see for album covers, posters, flyers, all that stuff, it comes directly from me. So I kind of get to skip that middleman process of like, I got
Right.
this idea of how my music should look, and give it, instead of giving it to someone else. Although I have collaborated with some other visual artists,
Right.
most of the time it's me just doing it, and that process streamlines a lot of shit for me. Like
Yeah.
I
Right.
get to
That's not the
just do
middleman,
it.
like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that
I like
I
that.
get to very aptly, whatever the idea was, I get to do it and make sure that it feels like how the music feels to me.
Yeah. Execution is a key thing when you have it. You have no barriers. You know what I mean? So let's talk music a bit. I'm really enjoying These Things Take Time, your latest release with Parental.
Nice.
And I really got to say, and I think it's so corny to say out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway because I don't care. But it's like it transported me back into a time when I was riding the trains at DC, when I was, going to ciphers myself, when I was going to the studio myself, when I was going hanging out with my boys rhyming in the alley or before we hooped or whatever. It gave me a feel of like wanting to rhyme again. You know what I mean? It actually inspired me to pick up the
Yes,
pen and
that's
pad. And
yes.
not only because of the title, but because of the verb and direction and the sound. Parental gave you some platters, man, and you sounded great on that, man. So
Thank you.
talk to me a bit about your vision for These Things Take Time, man.
I'm it's funny you said that is corny to say out loud. No, it's not corny to say out loud. I'm cheesing right now because you're feeling what I felt, right? So,
Mm,
I think we both can say like this project doesn't really sound, it kind of goes against the zeitgeist. It doesn't sound like anything that's kind of out right now. It
that's
does have that throwback sound. And so the way that shit came together was really interesting. Because I do a lot of boom bap. It's been a while. Honestly, I think the last full project before Quiet Life 2, which was a 2021 release. The last one before that was in 2012. So there was a significant gap where I took some time off to start event series, and I took some time off to really kind of find myself and make sure that my personal life was a little straight, because I feel like music was doing okay, but me personally, I wasn't. So
right.
I took that time off to do that. But because people that love my music and check for me know that I do very sample driven boom bap, like
Right.
good vibe, if you will, kind of hip hop.
Mhm.
Um, they love that shit. I toured Europe twice, and they love that shit over there. And
Right.
because of that, I feel like I get a lot of European producers in my inbox, like,
Right.
"Yo, I've got the hip hop for you. You like these beats?" Like they definitely hit me with that. And a
Right.
lot of times, like I want to say, ooh, like 3 out of 5 times, them shits are very like quantized drums, sleepy,
Right.
boring shit. Like, or
Right.
it's just like it's missing that salsa, you know what I mean? It's missing
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
bump, but it's like lo-fi beats to study to type shit,
Right. Right.
like. And
Library music.
don't get me twisted. I do love some of that stuff. I came up listening to Mark Farina's Mushroom Jazz. You know what I'm
Same here.
saying?
Same.
Like, dog,
Same
I
here.
love that. You know what I mean? Coffee shop beats.
Yeah.
Before there was lo-fi girl to study to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before it was like real
Yeah.
beat scene. I just loved that music. I remember working at Borders Book of Music, and hearing Mushroom Jazz playing. And I was just like, yo, these are dope jazzy beats. But so because of that, a lot of producers from Europe send me stuff, and a lot of times it's garbage. But sometimes there'll be gems, and I listen to everything. So that's a little gem for any producers that watch this. I listen to everything that gets sent. I don't pick everything, but I listen to everything.
Right.
And this producer, I'd never heard of him. His name is Parental, and he reached out and was like, "Would you be down to do a song with me?" And I was like, "Send the beats, bro. Send them. I'm gonna listen."
Mm.
And he sent the beats, and they were cool. They were cool. They weren't whack. They were dope, but they were cool. And I was still not in go mode per se. I still didn't have the fire under me to like knock stuff out.
Right.
Um, so I cat it, you know what I mean? And then he spun the block on me a year later, like, I guess you didn't like those beats, but would you be interested in doing, I'm working on a project with this MC named A1. Would you be down to do a verse for our project? And some of the beats that you passed on are ending up on that. So I said, yeah. And he was like, okay, cool. Sent the beat. And then he said, and here are the beats that I made this year. I sent a folder. Those beats that he said I made this year are the ones that ended up being these things take time. I,
Right. Right.
I listened, I opened this folder up and it immediately took me to 2001 Pete
Mm.
Rock Peach Instrumentals Volume 1.
Yeah.
Not and I hate to be, make the comparison, right? Comparison is a thief of joy, but I heard it and it just took me to that place that you said you went to. You heard it, you had the headphones on, you riding the train. It took me into that same frame of mind, not to say that it was the same exact sound, but in
Right.
that
Right.
same frame of like being where these are like jazzy, good, dope, boom bap beats that were warm, that like it felt like, man, if Pete would have sent me these in 2001, I would have been over the moon.
Right.
So
Right.
in a lot of ways, this project is kind of like, like a gift to 2001 me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yo, this is what this is what we used to be driving around with my boy Jarvis and my boy Jason. We used to drive around to that. We used to drive around to Dilla tapes, like this
Right.
feeling right here. So it's funny that you caught that same vibe, which makes me really happy because that's the frame of mind that beat tape that he Parental sent me. And yeah, that was in 2023
Wow.
that he sent that. And then over the course of that year, I was sending out joints for collabs, obviously A1 and Science
Right.
and different people. And yeah, and then
And Kelly,
mixing and mastering. And Kelly
right.
Moonstone too killed that.
Right. That was a
And
great feature. I'm a big fan of Kelly Moonstone. I think she's somebody who is really slept on, really dope with the beats, really dope with the vocals. Like
absolutely,
a star in the making.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I'm very excited for people to come across her music in any way. She used to come to my event series Beat House and take
Yes.
pictures and I didn't know she sang or rapped or anything. I just was
Right.
like, there's this girl taking pictures and she would just send me a Dropbox link to these photos and I was like, yes, awesome, great. We got some pictures, for Beat House. And then one day she had hit me up. She was like, oh, I'd love to pick your brain about, throwing shows and how to, get on showcases. And we met up, we had lunch and it was super cool, but I already knew I was moving to California. So I don't
Right.
think I was in the right headspace to like drop any gems. I mean, I hope whatever I told her stuck, but I
Mm.
just remembered I just remembered her from that. And then when
Mm.
I saw she was a singer and she just voice that just came, I was like, oh nah, I got something for her. I got something for her.
Right on. And it sounded beautiful. It's a great album. To me, like I said, the album, again, I don't want to always harp on the fact that it is nostalgic sounding. It's still fresh though. It still sounds like today, lyrically.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
lyrically, your themes are like forward thinking, but the sound
thank
is
you.
so warm. It's like a hug, man. I do want to I want to talk a bit about Beat House, man, because I've been to one event and
Okay.
could you
Which
explain the
one?
concept again? I don't remember, man, but I came to one.
Okay.
I pulled up on you one time, and I don't
Yeah.
know which one it was, but I want you to explain to our audience what the concept of Beat House is, man.
Okay. So, in New York City, the beat scene or culture, if you will, has always been beat battles, which is like one long table and like four or five producers playing beats one after the other, kind of like battling each other. And sometimes it gets super theatrical with producers dropping like vocal tags into it, like, haha, you can't beat me, like
Right,
in the
right,
middle of
right,
their drum, a lot.
right,
Sometimes I like that kind of vibe. And I always thought that was super cool, but it becomes cyclical. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't really necessarily always foster community. It fosters competition, and New York is a very competitive place. But you know, I always love a lot of the post Dilla types, you know, beat sounds that were coming out of LA, the Flying Lotuses, Raz G's,
Yep.
you know, Knowledge, Mind Design, Susie Antelope, all that sound, you know, Devin Who, Sam I Am, that sound, I was really enthralled with it when I was listening to it. And this is like early to mid aughts, you know, but I hadn't been to LA yet, you know, so
Mm.
these were SoundCloud stuff and Bandcamp stuff,
Right.
and I was finding it that way, and I was like, there's just no way, you know, I don't know how I'm gonna get something like that in New York. And I
Right.
went to an event, and it was thrown by you know, like a sort of boutique record label called Paxico, and
Mm.
they had like Obliv on the bill,
Oh,
and people
wow.
that I only knew from
Through-
SoundCloud,
Right. Right. Right.
and
Right.
it was like in somebody's living room, and I was just like, and I was amazed because this was like some LA beat shit happening here in Bushwick,
Mm.
um, and you know, everybody that was there was super cool, super warm, super inviting, but you know, it was like, it was I was like, why don't more people know about this? You know, like,
Right.
this is ill. And I just thought, I've been throwing events, mostly open mics and other kind of parties, since I've been 18 years old in New York City. You know, like,
Right.
I've always been like, if you build it, they will come. If you don't see it, that means that there's a market for it and you can fill it. And I've
Right.
just always been like, I'll bring people together. If I can't get them, I'll bring them to me. And so I was like, yo, what if I did my version of this, right? Because no shot to the people that were doing it, but they weren't from Brooklyn,
Right.
right? They were transplants, so their resources were kind of limited in terms of getting it to the people of the city. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, and so I was like, yo, I'm gonna do it. My boy Chuck, producer Chuck Legarcon, he lived in this brownstone in Bed-Stuy, and he had 3 floors. And I was like, dog, I'm gonna throw a party in your basement, but it's gonna be like all producers. And I
Right.
knew that Twami was in town, and I knew this guy was in town, and so I just reached out, and I happened to be hosting a beat event that was happening in Bushwick, and I mentioned it on the mic that I'm gonna throw this is gonna be the first one. And when I tell you over 100 people showed up to this house, bro,
Wow.
I knew I had something. So the concept for Beat House was people playing beats in a house.
It's really mad simple, but it's not easy.
I mean, really, it was. You know, and I just really wanted it to be very concise, laser focused. I didn't want no spoken word. I didn't want no rappers. I didn't want
Right.
anybody painting in a corner. I wanted it just to be producers playing dope ass beats, but also
Right.
to be really curated, like to be really only ill motherfuckers are on this. You know what I mean?
Right. I hear you.
And then just have a projection on the wall of different cool graphics while this is going on. And
All right.
we did that, and it grew. It grew. Converse got involved. Ten
Right.
Deep got involved.
Yep.
We ended up doing a radio show, a tour. It really took over my life way faster than my own music did, and in a way that was really fulfilling to be able to provide a platform for other dope artists.
Yeah, that's it's pretty selfless because you know, a lot of times it's always like a key thing in hip hop that everyone's out for self, you know what I mean? But you really did prove that community does matter in this, you know, in hip hop, and fostering that is the way that we keep it going forward. How else would you find somebody like a Kelly Moonstone or a Science or whatever? You know what I mean? Like the way that you open up your doors in that way has really fostered something, and you really are, to me, one of the leaders of the new sound out there. So I appreciate you for that, man. So
Thank you. You know
yeah,
how hard it is to not want, like, to not rap over like ill beats being played?
yeah,
It's so tempting, and so many MCs have hit me up like, "Yo, can I perform at Beat House?" And it's like hurt my soul to be like, "Nah, we don't do that."
right, right.
Like,
But you made something.
if I'm not gonna be rapping at my own show, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna let anybody else on the
yeah, no
mic,
doubt.
right?
Yeah.
Unless I did have a caveat, unless they made those beats and they were
Ah,
playing a beat set and then they performed some. So like Susie Analog did that, you know.
dope.
Yeah, like like I believe Theravada and
Very dope.
yeah, just a bunch of dope people came
Very
through.
valid.
And
I love his music, man. I think he's a great rapper too. His voice and
yeah,
his sound, his tone is just great, man. I'm a big fan,
yeah.
man. So it's so cool to talk to somebody who knows this stuff, man. Because I'm like on an island a lot sometimes by myself with this stuff, man. So it's cool to
Yeah,
talk this, man.
we do it because we love this, bro.
Yeah, I live it, man. It's all I know, man. But let's talk a little bit about Very Relaxed, man. I love the name of your brand, man, because not only does it fit your motif and what I've come to know about you, but it also looks good, man. Let's just talk about Very Relaxed and what you are hoping to achieve with the brand, man.
Yeah. So, pre-pandemic, even when I was in Brooklyn, sometimes I would sign off on my post on social media, hashtag very relaxed, as a
Right.
way to just show like just unbothered, just
I'm good.
like effortless, like this is light work. That was
Right,
like
right.
it was kind of like a very to me, I call it like a Pusha T-ism, like just
Yeah.
like it was kind of like my yeah, like
Well, your
just
ad
like
lib, your ad lib.
just an ad lib for social media, like
Right,
post myself somewhere super dope or doing something really cool, and then just put very relaxed.
right. I like it.
Like this is calm, this is light work.
Yeah,
So
this ain't nothing. Right,
I said it. I did it so much so that other people were like, doing the same in their posts and like and tagging me like, yo, like Fresh said, very relaxed, and I was like,
relax.
I have something here, and I was doing graphic design for another label for a homegirl of mine, just doing the graphics for her clothing line,
Mm,
and she asked me to pitch her like a deck of ideas for her new season or whatever, and I threw Very Relaxed in there as just like a capsule collection, and she passed on it. And I
right,
was like, I just want you to know you're gonna be really mad in like a couple years when I pop this off because I think
right,
this is something.
right,
She was like, just do you. This is all good.
right.
And it took me a while because these things take time, right?
Well, no doubt, no
Uh,
doubt.
but in the pandemic, you with me, usually I have either have time and no money, and or money and no time.
Right.
And the pandemic was one of the rare instances where, because everything was shut down, I had a little bit of time and money, and so I was like, I think I need to do this, and so I
Right.
just, you know. The pandemic was rough. I
Yeah.
lost people, and it was a rough time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, trend reports say that people did so much online retail in the pandemic. Like there are companies that just blew up because people were stuck at home, and some
Overnight too.
people with excess income just had nothing to do but like and nowhere to go to spend their money, so they were just shopping and shopping and shopping.
Right.
And so I didn't know that, but I was just like, now's the time. I'm trapped in the crib and there's nowhere to go. I might as well work on this. And I just started working on designs, and my girlfriend, my then girlfriend, now wife, was just like, you should get your LLC. She the queen's got the knowledge, what I
What
mean? So she,
as she should have done, right?
right, right. She said, get your LLC, make this a legitimate thing, and like figure out a schedule, and do your designs and da, da, da. And she really kind of pushed me to do it, and it was super whack too because COVID made like production, especially getting things done, any kind of overseas production, it made it like when I did these hats, I made people wait for over a month because they just
Wow.
weren't. It took longer. I was promising things and pre-order, and everything was a learning curve. But
Mm,
that first collection, sold out, and I think I put like 10 bands into it just because
right,
that's
right,
all I had,
right.
and I tripled that in like less
Wow.
than 90 days. You know what I mean? People really resonated, and it was a stressful time too, so people really wanted to be very relaxed.
No doubt, no doubt.
You know what I mean? And so like it's just been a learning journey. I just had a baby girl, a daughter, and so
Mm,
like I've kind of put everything on hold a little bit in terms of the brand, just for a while, because I don't want to miss a second of her. But I also had some time to like revamp my brand Bible, and I've gotten some absolutely fantastic advice and mentorship from Scott, formerly the owner of 10 Deep, who's a good
right.
friend of mine, who's just like, this is how you got to do it. And so I'm really excited to relaunch, hopefully either at the end of this year or the top of next year.
Got
But
you.
it's been dope. Our focus is just really making really well-made premium goods. Quiet, I like to call it like quiet luxuries, small luxuries, um, and really high quality goods in small batches
Right.
for people who care about that type of stuff. Right.
It's clean. It's very clean look, man. I love it, man. So I'm
Thank
about
you.
to get into something that's going to be tough for me to get through because I could be an emotional dude. I'm a girl dad myself. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about
Yeah.
Father's Day, man. Father's Day is upon us this Sunday, and you have to celebrate, man.
Yes.
And you have this beautiful song devoted to your baby, man, called "Made with
Yeah.
Love." And I
Yes.
read the Bandcamp note. You almost didn't want to put it out, man, but I'm so glad you did, man, because that
Thank
kind of
you.
vulnerability is what we as men, black men
Yeah.
in particular, and especially black men who grew up like you and I did, poor. You know, we need to see that there's fathers out there who give a damn about their baby. So, talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that "Made with Love" joint, man. I love that joint, man.
Oh man, it's produced by my boy E1. Shout out
Right,
E1, and
right.
that's EWONEE. So a lot of
Dope.
people say Wani, but it's E1.
He won. He's
E1
dope.
E1 is super dope.
Yeah,
That's like my brother. A lot of producers are very insular and isolated, and that sometimes can make for like awkward social interactions.
mm,
After 10 years of doing beat house is something that I've seen is really common, but E1 is really special in the fact that like and it's interesting too because like the doper they are, sometimes the like
more
weirder and
insular they
like
are.
hopefully yeah and where they are, but
Yeah.
E1 is like an anomaly to me because he's super dope. I'll put money on him over a lot of your favorites. um he's so dope, but he's also such a personable, like real dude. You know what I mean? Like his family has shown me a lot of love, and he's super dope. And
It's all in his heart.
he had like a beat sale on Instagram, and he's floated me joints for a collaborative project that we've had before. But he had this sale, and that beat for that was in the sale, and I was just like, yo, I need that. He was like, hey man, I'm trying to get this. Yeah, I gotta get these bills knocked out. I was like, how much? How much?
Right,
He was
right.
like, oh, somebody just made a bid on it, man. I was like, do they
I'll
have
bet
money right here?
him.
I need that, fam.
Right,
And
right,
after I bought it, I had it in mind for like me and another MC, but we got the news that my fiance was pregnant right as we were planning our wedding,
wow,
and um and we did some math, and we were planning for an October wedding. October 19th was supposed to be our wedding,
right.
and my daughter was born October 22nd. So,
Gotta
so
mess
like,
things up.
yeah, we were like, I don't think this wedding's gonna happen. Like,
Right,
it seems like we have a different life agenda, and
yeah,
in that moment, I think we weren't planning. Uh, we've been together for 5 years,
right.
and we weren't planning on kids. We were planning on buying more Jordans and airplane tickets and vacations. Like
Being a
we
fly
just
young
like,
couple, right?
yeah, F them kids, man. We don't want to be people with a baby screaming on a plane, like, what I mean, at the restaurant.
Right,
And I think in that moment we just had that panic, like we just started working like real jobs and making money. We like now we got to get like there's like a part of us that was like, this baby wasn't shooting with us in the gym, like
right,
like that moment, right?
right,
But and like this means everything changes, and we had these moments where like I think our scalps tightened a little bit in like concern and consternation, but like God gave us perfect peace about it. We went to that first doctor's appointment early in the morning because we both had work, and
right.
and I think I started off. I said, I saw your heartbeat on a monitor today, a spark of light in the Andromeda. And I don't know if you've ever seen, our listeners or viewers have ever seen the sonogram, but when it's just the inception of something, not the fetus is tiny, it's
Right, right.
infinitesimal. The heartbeat just looks like a spark. It looks like first of all, that shit looks like a Doppler radar. It
Right,
doesn't
no
it
doubt.
doesn't look like a person. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like
Right,
the sonogram or whatever, it just looks like the void. It just looks like
right.
outer space. But
Blackness,
you look,
straight
yeah,
blackness.
and you're just looking at it, and you're like, okay, and where's the
It's my
baby? I don't
life.
see
Where's
nothing.
my little one? You know.
And then the heartbeat is just this flash of light, and they're like, it's right there, right there. Do you see that? That's your baby. And in that moment, like we looked at each other and we were like, yeah, this little star chose us for a purpose. You know what I mean? And we left out of that in like God's perfect peace. Like, yo, everything's gonna be straight. We're gonna bring someone special into the world, and we're gonna make
No doubt.
sure that like there's one less asshole. Like we didn't know if it's a boy or girl, but we like just one less shitty person in the world. Like
Yeah.
that's all right. It's gonna be all right. And like I think the beauty of it is that well we had love, you know what I mean. That baby was made from love, and we have been together 5 years, and everything these things take time. Everything happens like as it's supposed to be, you know what I'm
Right.
saying. And I'm up there, bro.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm over 40.
Right.
So I was like, this was not on the bingo card for
Right.
me, but
Right.
it has brought my life the most joy. I don't think I knew a love like this. I don't think I knew joy like this. And it's kind of messed up because I used to shit on people for bringing. I like the world is in an effed up place,
Right.
and I was like, don't bring no kids into this effed up place. But I think kids are exactly what we need. Like we need hope, and
No doubt.
children really do represent hope. So that song came to me like I listened to that beat from E1, and the idea that I had for it with the other MC went out the window. And this song, it wrote itself so fast, bro. It
Right.
wrote itself so fast. And in the car, I was actually sitting in the car, I think at another doctor's appointment while I was waiting for her. The song I put on loop, and and I was writing it, and like tears are falling out of my face, as I was writing it. And if you know my music,
Yeah.
I tend to not go very personal.
No, you don't.
Like
You don't.
I keep things like very surface level because I like the separation of church and state. I like being able to have fresh daily stuff and come back home. You know what I mean? But as I've been getting older, I've been giving like glimpses into who I am. And I was like, yeah, like the spirit is calling for me to drop this. You know what I mean? So I reached out to my boy Black Spade. I was like, Black Spade is one of the few male singers who I feel. My boy Cavalier said this. He was like, he sings like a man.
Yes, he
Like a
does.
lot, like a lot of males R&B singers and singers in general will go into these different pockets and spaces. But like you hear him and his old Hawthorne Headhunters partner,
Right.
uh, Coltrane. They sing like man, they sound like
Right.
brothers that are
Right.
singing like Teddy Pendergrass type.
Yeah.
Like
That's
you
that
listening
St.
to
Louis.
some
That's that St. Louis in them. You know what I mean?
yeah, St.
That's
Louis,
St. Louis in
man.
them. That's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So I was
Oh, man.
like, this is the perfect person for this because I can't sing, or else I would have done it myself the way I do my
Right.
art. But yeah, he killed that, and it's really interesting. I put a snippet of it on Instagram, and Peter Rosenberg heard it.
Right. Right. Right.
And I didn't know Peter Rosenberg was expecting his first as well.
Wow.
And we're kind of close in age. And he was like, "You have to send me this." And I was
Wow.
like, "Okay, cool. It's not out yet. It's not on any platform." I was just like, "He's gonna listen to it, and it's gonna, he resonated." This
Right.
brother put it on Hot 97,
Wow. Wow.
and
I'm
people
gonna
are
have to,
hitting me and sending me clips of them riding around to it, and I'm like, "What?" He was
I
like,
had to,
"Yeah, I heard this.
yeah.
I heard it on Static Selector too." And I'm like,
Wow.
this song is not out yet. How is it? So
Wow.
I knew I had to put it out immediately because
Right.
for a while it was gonna be for me, but
Right.
Peter Rosenberg, got Peter Rosenberg to thank for that.
And the universe got it out there for the world, man. Thank you for
Oh
that,
yeah,
man. Well,
thank you.
happy Father's Day to you, man. Because I
Yes,
think
thank
that
you, yo.
I'm gonna tell
My
you something,
first,
man. It's a joy to be a dad, man. Like
it is.
one of my greatest honors, man. And woo, you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
trying to hold it together, you know what I mean? But
yeah. No, it's special. It's special.
it's an honor, man. Like I'm telling, I feel like a warrior being a father. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm
Wow.
unstoppable being a dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So for you to
that's what I
tell that
want.
story for us, man, it's real touching, man. So thank you, bro.
Thank
Um,
you, G.
yeah. So let's get away from all that emotional stuff, man. Let's talk. Let's talk what's next, man. Like
Yeah.
what's next for Fresh Daily, man? What can you expect, man? Are you gonna be? I know you gotta focus on being a dad and being a good husband
Yeah.
and all that, but like, what
Nah,
about
man.
the heart, man?
Yo, let me tell you, man, that it's like the door is open. You know what I mean? Like the chamber got unlocked. On Quiet Life 2, I started off on the title track saying I got 5 projects queued up next, and that wasn't hyperbole. Like I really do have joints in the tuck.
Right.
I've been working. I got joints with Sky Zoo, Rome Streets, Conway the Machine. Like I've been cooking. You know what I mean? And
Right.
um, I'm just really looking for good homes for this music. I think for me, um, I really want to put out vinyl. Like
Mm.
my first official Fresh Daily album uh party release was at Fat Beats, and like
Mm.
I think they closed the next month. So I never
Right.
got to have like that that vinyl on the wall that
Right.
I really wanted
Right.
in that moment. I mean, and these things take time. Mark's my third vinyl release,
Right.
but there's something special and warm and collectible about vinyl that I really love, and it's something to me it's kind of like a benchmark of an indie MC to have his music on vinyl, at least from the era that I'm from.
No doubt.
Going into Fat Beats and looking through the walls and digging through the crates in the record store. I think having your music on vinyl signifies to the world that somebody thought your shit was dope enough to spend a couple thousand to press it up.
No
You know what I
doubt.
mean? And that could be a very silly validation that I just internalized. But to me, it kind of, I love the idea of people collecting it, and with the art of the last album I dropped, people sending me pictures of that artwork up in their home. It feels real special. It feels real. It feels tangible. It feels visceral. So I really want to get good homes for these projects instead of just putting them up on DistroKid or Bandcamp. I really want to have. I see the impact of a good rollout leading up to vinyl, and I think currently we're like number 28 on HHV's top 100 vinyl sales, and within the first 30 days of this album release. I think within the first 10 days of this album release on Spotify, we crossed over 100,000 streams. So I think people are resonating with it, and I think that's kind of like the fuel because sometimes I create in a vacuum, and I'm like, yo, I took a lot of time off of music. Ain't nobody checking for this shit. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's my internal thing. I'm like,
Right.
you took a long time, so maybe cats. But what I realized is, I'm the wellspring. It comes from me. Like if I turn the faucet off, I could turn it just back on just as easy. And the people that have been thirsty for what I produce are gonna tap in,
No
literally.
doubt.
And I think they have, and I'm very grateful for it. Like my attitude has been one of gratitude, and super humbling and super excited to give more. And Parental and I are already working on a little part two
Oh,
that
okay.
I've titled Here and There, just because
Nice.
I'm here and he's over there in Paris. So here and there, and yo, man, I'm just cooking. I'm open to work. You know, I was saying this to someone the other day, like, you know, I realized in the position that I am that I took time off that I'm down to work if the music is dope
Right.
on the arm. My only ask is you pay for the studio time because I'm not one of those guys that records at home. I need the engineer. I need the whole
Yeah.
thing. So if you make dope music and it's relevant and you want to get me on it, hey, just send it over to studio time. We'll make it happen.
Right. No doubt about it. Well, I got to say, the mark of a good man is good quality music, consistent art, but also just the attitude that you have. Every time I've come across you on social media, you're not really bombing on anybody. You're just being you, and what you are is Fresh Daily, man. So thank you for the time, man. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy
I
schedule.
appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you,
We
sir.
go way back like lawn chairs, and
No doubt,
and
man.
I've been itching for a chance to have a conversation about this thing that we love with you. So I really appreciate the opportunity to chop it up.
The honor was mine, sir. And where can they find you online, brother?
Fresh DOT Daily, Fresh dot Daily. That's Twitter. That's Instagram. That's Fresh DOT dot Daily, Fresh dot Daily.com as well for like art and stuff like that. And the link in my bio has on
Everything.
social platforms, has everything that you could want and need from me. These things take time. Produced by DJ Parentals, out now. Run that up. Get the vinyl if you can. I know it's an import, so
It
but
costs a little
today is,
bit,
yeah, you know what I mean? There's a
but it's
light
worth it.
40. Listen, I guarantee you spent $40 on worse, right?
You
So
sure did. You sure did. But thank you, blood. I appreciate you. All
yo,
right, one
thank
love
you,
to you,
brother.
brother. All right,
Peace.
man.